Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. My name is Sam. With me, as always, is Cody. You are listening to Bubble and Smoke. This might be our second or third episode. We haven't decided yet. It's whatever we feel like outputting when we output it eventually. Anyways, I've got a lozenge on because I've got a cough, and as always, we have a hookah in the background. So if there is that bubble there, that's why. We're going to start off with Cody. He's got a few things he'd like to get off his chest, and then we can keep going with our normal format. Maybe talk about some sports today, if that interests anybody.
Yeah, I put that first episode up. I was feeling good about everything that was going on. Life was kind of heading in the right direction, and then some things happened. Life happens always, and just been battling with that, struggling a little bit. But I don't like to speak anything into existence until it happens and get my feet back under me and whatnot. So fingers crossed, and keep the hope that everything's on the upswing. So I've been quiet for about a month and a half or so, but we should be back, in due time.
We'll try to get these on the regular, but for now we're just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
So today you wanted to talk about basically what's going on with the NCAA in California.
Yeah.
And student payments and such. I'm going to be quite honest with you. This is a topic I do not have a lot of information on, so you're going to have to guide me through it, and I can add to it as much as I can. I'll do the research right now while we are chatting, though.
I don't know all of the happenings that have gone on with it, but I do know that it has been a conversation or a fight or whatever you want to say with college athletes, mainly in football. Getting paid because EA Sports, they used to make NCAA football games, and they make Madden and whatnot, and a lot of the community in EA wants to bring back NCAA football. The last one that they made was in 2014, 2013. It was NCAA 14, which is a great game. The NCAA football games are one of my favorites. There's a lot to them, and you can play them, and it's obviously college, so it's the whole issue why they stopped making them was because of the likeliness of the players and using the numbers and using the play style and this and that and whatever. And then NCAA, was like, hey, you guys can't do that because you're basically putting the player in the game, but it's not the actual player, which is kind of ridiculous because what you would do is just put random names on the players, so it's not like it's actually the player. But then EA is selling the game, and it's got the likenesses of all of this stuff, so it's like
they're making money off of the back of these student athletes, which I feel like is what the colleges are doing anyway when they're selling jerseys and they're putting them on all the
and they're on TV
marketing.
So it's like,
and they're getting zero out of that.
Yeah, and it's like you've got spokespersons, companies who advertise during the games and the stadiums and this and that, and whatever, and like the Fiesta Bowl, it's all all this money revenue coming in. So it's
and some of these colleges depend on these sports.
Yeah, so
UK is
and then you got Alabama, who's predominantly a football school, and all
Florida,
these schools. Yeah, so
that live off their basketball, their football.
Yeah, so it's kind of huge that the NCAA is kind of finally coming around to an agreement to paying these players because the way that college football goes anyway, it's such a watched sport and there's so much focus on it. Why not let the players benefit off of it a little bit?
They're going to make huge money anyway when they go off into these upper leagues.
Yeah, just do something just for the fact that they're in the NCAA football games. And that's it. Don't make it to play because I don't know if you heard about this, but I'm an Ohio State football fan. And our best player, Chase Young, he just got suspended 4 games for taking a loan from a family friend who to fly his girlfriend out to watch him play in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
But he paid back that family friend. So it's like, I mean, okay, I guess I get it, but it's not like he.
I've heard similar situations where it's just like these kids essentially are just asking for money from
Yeah.
friends and they get in trouble for it,
Right.
Which essentially is ridiculous to me.
Yeah, because it's not like they can work when they play. Because if you're playing,
You have no time.
if you're playing college football for a predominantly like strong powerhouse school,
You're trying to keep your grades up, and
Yeah,
then you're
you-
trying to like play the best game that you can be, so you can get drafted
yeah,
early
exactly,
or drafted
So-
at all.
Yeah, so it's like situations like that is kind of. I mean, I guess it's in the guidelines, but it's at the same time.
Well, the catalyst to this whole change was the law in California that will take effect in 2023. If I'm correct here, according to New York Times, I'm just going to quote this directly. Thousands of student athletes in America's most populous state will be allowed to promote products and companies trading on their sports re-owned for the first time. So essentially what they're saying is the students will be able to make money off of the back of all this marketing stuff
Yeah,
that the school is making money off of already.
right.
So, and then I think the NCAA, if I'm not mistaken, when I was hearing about this, were pushing back, and they're keeping the stance of, well, if they're making money now, it goes against our guidelines, and then you're just messing up the whole system, which
Yeah.
to me personally made no sense.
Yeah,
And I think you can agree with me. We're both let these kids make their money.
right. Because I mean, that's their living. Like they're kids, they don't have a job.
Yeah.
And that's their life.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're working towards a bigger goal is to get drafted.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that just goes back to the NCAA, the football games. Like, just put them in the game, give them whatever kind of money you're going to give them. It sounds as simple as that, which it should be because NCAA, is making a lot of money. And plus, if it's EA Sports,
For sure.
EA Sports is going to make a lot of money.
For sure.
'cause
I
if
think
you-
part of the reason why they stopped making the NCAA games was because of the backlash
Yeah,
off
because
of them.
because of the whole likeliness, and it's not the actual player, but they're in the game, but it's not actually the player in the game. So that part just kind of. But like I said, I'm glad they are somewhat coming around to making a
about the
game. My prediction with the new game systems coming out next Christmas, my prediction is that in 2021 there'll probably be one that comes out. That's just my guess.
You think that there's going to be an NCAA game?
I think so.
Well, the law doesn't go into effect until 2023.
Oh,
And now, there is a saying in politics that says whatever California does, the other states follow.
yeah,
So I can imagine that other big sports states are going to
Oh, yeah.
probably adopt this
they have to.
guidelines.
Yeah, Texas and Ohio and Kentucky and Florida and Georgia and those are the biggest ones that I can think of.
But at the same time, you have to think that the NCAA helps these universities make so much money.
Yeah, they do.
So they could be pushing back on this, and well, this is still developing at the moment.
Yeah, but I just see it as nothing but a positive because it's all about promotions and you got like the college football playoffs that are always on TV. You've got the bowl games that are on TV. You've got sponsors and all this other money coming in. So I mean, yeah, that's used for the schools, of course.
Yeah.
But why not? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, for sure.
you made NCAA football games from like the 90s all the way to 2013.
Yeah.
So why was it not a problem then?
I don't think it was a problem then. I just think that there's no one to stop them. And I don't think the kids made any money off of the back of those NCAA football games.
Nah, and I think that was the problem. Yeah, because
It just seems crooked.
yeah,
That EA cares.
yeah, of course it would be EA, which actually contradicts EA because EA is a company that a lot of consumers complain about.
Yes.
They're money hungry, which
Yes.
they are. Like it's a pay to win nowadays on EA. So
Yeah, right now, where do you even start with EA? You've got the whole debacle with Battlefront, the Star Wars game.
yeah,
That was loot box heavy, and people hated that. And then FIFA is basically just an ultimate team game at this point.
basically, yeah,
And people,
pay to win.
there was this whole issue this year where the career mode was so terrible and buggy that there was petitions and like online protests.
Dang,
people wanted like them to just like fix it.
I didn't know it was that bad.
No, it's that bad. I mean, Madden's the same way. I think the career mode on that's pretty.
Madden's the same with Ultimate Team.
It's pretty ultimate. All these sport games are just
Yes.
turning into these Ultimate Team machines.
Pay to win.
And even 2K, I think, is.
2K is. Don't even get me started on 2K.
Do we talk about like how the commercials for the 2K game? When we were I think we were talking about this to where like it was just showing you slot machines.
Oh yeah.
And doing all of that. So even that's just
2K is right there up on the pay to win with EA. But the thing about 2K though is they don't have competition.
Not in basketball, no. But neither does EA have with football and soccer.
That's true. So it's like, who's going to stop me?
Exactly.
But,
or NHL. I think EA does NHL.
Yeah. They're the same way, though, I believe.
Yeah, because there is no other. They have the license, and people want to play with the actual players, regardless of how good the other games are.
Yeah.
Because, like, even with EA, because I know the soccer. Sorry, is not huge here in the States, but around the world, FIFA and PES is a big thing for Evolution Soccer. But most people are going to steer towards FIFA because of those licenses.
Yeah, and it's popular.
It's popular.
Everybody else is playing it.
That's what everyone's used to.
Yeah. I remember when FIFA came out last year, I thought about getting it, and I went and read the reviews. It's like 2 stars.
There's always a part of me that wants to buy these sports games because I love sports myself. I watch soccer every week. I try to keep... I try to keep up with what's going on in the NFL.
Right.
I watch the NBA finals. I'm not a big NBA person, but still, when it's on and there's nothing else to watch, I'll definitely watch it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's terrible. I mean, shoot, this isn't a sport, but WWE wrestling.
Right.
2K has the license for that. It's the same exact thing.
And 2K20 is apparently horrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's laughably bad, like the way the glitches are.
Yep.
And it's just terrible. But
that just goes to show with 2K, like, once another basketball company comes around, I have a feeling they're going to be done. Because the 2K community, like, obviously I'm part of that community because I played a lot.
You think there's going to be a point where people stop playing?
They have to be dethroned at some point.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't think for a very long time.
It won't be for a while, but I just feel like as long as video games are being made and basketball games are being made, I feel like somebody has to come around and take the throne because EA does make NBA Live, which they scratched this year's release because NBA Live is horrible. But NBA Live they've got a couple things to tweak on their games, and then they'll be a good game.
Do you think they can unseat 2K if they come out with NBA Live?
I think so.
And I think that'll be a good barometer to see what happens when there's competition between two companies.
Because NBA Live 19 came out, and it had a lot of promise. Mm-hmm. Like, I played the demo, and I was like, this game is really good. It's got problems, of course, but it's like, if 2K doesn't step their game up, then NBA Live is going to dethrone them. And then 2K dropped their prelude and their previews, and everybody was like, all right, we got to play 2K. Yeah. So it's like, NBA Live has potential, but I just don't understand what the difference is between the NBA Live game and the Madden games. Because they play so much different. I don't know if it's like the gaming engine, like what do you call it?
Well, software.
Like the gaming the engine.
Yeah. Well, I think now EA has this thing where it's like, this goes back to this gaming jargon. They're using an engine called DICE. Yeah. Which is mainly used for first-person shooters.
That's what... They actually switched to Frostbite.
The Frostbite engine. Frostbite. That is made by DICE. Yeah. My mistake. Thank you. And the Frostbite engine was mainly made for first-person shooters.
Battlefield.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then EA mandated that, hey, this is what we're going to be using for all our other games. So that's why you're getting all these buggy games. Yeah. Because FIFA's had issues, and I think Madden's had issues.
That's true. FIFA did go to that, didn't they? They went to Frostbite.
Yeah. So did Madden, I believe.
Yeah, Madden did. But I'm saying, like, NBA Live. Like, why have they not implemented that?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's just more trouble than it's worth because they know 2K is their competition. And EA, all it cares about is the bottom line. It doesn't care about the consumer, which is the problem, in my opinion.
They care about money.
They care about money.
Yeah.
So they're going to put out these gambling style, make money quick, and then they're going to keep pumping these out every year, and the game is degrading, but they're still making more money. So nothing's stopping them from keep going.
Because people are going to buy it.
Yeah, nothing's going to stop them from going. The thing about these types of games, too, they don't need a lot of people to play them.
Yeah, they don't.
So there's a saying in gaming called whales. Whales are players that pump a lot of money into the game, tens of thousands of dollars,
Yep.
sometimes thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So these players can sustain a game like
Yeah,
EA's, FIFA's, and Madden. So
Right.
you only need a few thousand players to keep
that's
going.
true. Yeah, because I mean, that's essentially them selling more copies.
Yeah, and this goes back to our like NCAA topic, to where the NCAA's bottom line is money,
Yeah,
even though they claim that they're trying to benefit the students.
right. Oh, yeah, it's all about money.
It's all about money in the end.
They see the big picture. They know as soon as they get all that worked out, people are going to be lining up. People are going to be lining up to buy NCAA. I'll be right there in that line,
Yeah.
waiting to buy it because that's what people have been wanting. They've been wanting that game. As
So
long,
you're talking about it from a video game perspective. but
yeah,
I think what we need to look at is like the picture of TV licensing,
yeah,
like the amount of money like NCAA makes off of just like airing it on ESPN or whatever other channels they do.
yeah,
They probably make millions of dollars off of that, and none of that goes to the students.
Yeah.
So you'd imagine that some of that's going to start going to the students,
Yeah.
and that's less money in whose pocket? NCAA, and
yeah,
thus less money in the pockets of the universities.
yeah. That's true.
And I'm not trying to say that like the universities are malicious in any way. Neither is NCAA, I don't think.
Yeah,
But in the end, it's a business, and they want to make money.
but it's like, at what point do you stop being greedy? You know what I mean? It's like,
Again, we're consumers, so you and I are thinking from the point of, well, I want the best possible thing in my hands. Like when we play a game, for example, like going back to the conversation of gaming, like when we want to play a game, we want the best possible thing, right?
yeah,
We don't care about how much money the company's making. I want to pay $60. I want to get the best possible experience that I can. And that's all I care about. But when you're looking at it from a business perspective, you're like, okay, I just gave customer A, they gave me $60. I gave them a game.
yeah,
But in the end, all I got was $60. What if I could continuously make money? They pay me $60, and then I get another 5 here, 5 there,
yeah,
10 here, 100 there,
yeah,
10 here. That's the bottom line. And you kind of have to applaud it because that's capitalism 101. That's
Yeah.
what America is all about.
right.
But at the end, it sucks for you and me because what we want is just a good experience. And what's hampering us is from these good experiences is that sort of stuff. I don't think I've bought an EA game since 2012. I genuinely haven't bought a FIFA. I haven't bought an NBA game.
You're not missing
Because I don't think so.
It's
Because
the
every
same
time
thing.
I look it up or look up stuff about it, all I see is glitches
Yeah.
and people complaining, and then all these pay to win stuff and all this gambling stuff, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, part of me questions why people still play that,
that. Yeah,
but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not surprised because it's addictive and people have addictive personalities.
and people love sports. So,
People love sports, exactly.
and it's like, going back to the NCAA, it's just crazy to think that there was such a, it just comes back obviously to the payments for the likeliness of the players, but like NCAA 14, probably one of my favorite football games, one of my favorite games of all time, like NCAA 14, NCAA 10, football, of course. So it's like, I don't know. They have to come to an agreement sometime because I personally love those games and I personally know a lot of people that love those games. So there's got to be some kind of middle ground that they got to come, in the middle of, because if they're all about making money, they know they'll make the money off of it. Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I'm trying to look up any information about an NCAA video game. The thing is, like ESPN even tweeted recently, like about NCAA. Now that they voted to allow college kids to profit, they want to see a new game because they want to see these kids make money too.
Right.
So that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye out for, especially if you are an NCAA fan. Personally, I wouldn't buy those sort of games, but you're a big college sports fan.
Yeah.
And the U.S. is huge on its college.
Oh, yeah, they love it.
Huge. I think even more than their regular sports.
It is because I think the NFL is starting to shift a little bit because there's so many young players nowadays, and it's like
the talent just gets better and better every year.
and it's like once the GOATs I guess you would call them the greatest of all time. Just kind of retired. You know, the Brady's, the Breezes, the Roethlisbergers.
Which shouldn't be too far off.
It shouldn't. Once those guys retire, the league is wide open.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Which I think will be better for the league.
Yeah,
personally, I'm not a Patriots fan. I'll be the first to say it. I don't like that team.
I respect them because of what they've done.
I respect
the winning. I mean, you can't get around that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny how effective they are as a team, but at the same time, it's just like I don't feel like they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
I don't like the personalities of some of the players.
Yeah.
That's a personal thing, though. I mean, this is coming from a Seattle Seahawks fan.
Yeah.
Who had Richard Sherman on the team and Marshawn Lynch, and they were big personalities.
That's
too.
true. Yeah, they're really good this year. Too.
But they weren't dominating for like the last how long? 10 years?
Yeah, they flipped the script. They're pretty good now.
Yeah,
but I just
don't like dynasties in sports.
True.
I don't like to see one team dominate, which I think is the nice thing about the NBA.
Yeah,
because the NBA always has different winners.
Yeah, the NBA had a little streak though with the Warriors.
It's 3 years.
Yeah, and then the Lakers, back in the Kobe and Shaq days,
the early 2000s,
and then the Bulls with Jordan and the Miami.
But they're always like short 3-year stints.
Yeah, but the NFL, the Patriots have been good since Brady got there. So, well, not as soon as he got there, but
for a very long time. Him and Belichick are a good duo.
They've been relevant since he's been there. So it's like with college. Other than the powerhouses, of course, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Georgias nowadays, the LSU.
Would you call Ohio State a powerhouse of the NCAA?
Of course they're a powerhouse.
Are you saying that because you're a fan?
No, I'm saying that because it's the truth. We have the only times we have been relevant was with the whole, the Terrell Pryor and Jim Tressel days.
I know that. Sorry for cutting you off. I know that Alabama and Oklahoma are the two football teams in college.
Yeah, but Oklahoma, they've had some pretty good stretches the last couple of years. Alabama, of course, every year. But Ohio State's been up there the last 10, 15 years. Because it's just how it is. Even back in the day, the 70s and 80s and stuff, they were always relevant. So they're of course they're number one the number two in the nation right now. So, other than those powerhouses, it's wide open. Same with the NFL, it's wide open.
Well, we brought up video games, and I kind of want to shift to that direction, which was a very unfemale friendly episode. So have you played the Fallout games? Skyrim, Fallout.
I really wanted to get into those games, but
no.
Because, I love the idea of them, but I just, personally, I can't sit and play them. I think it's because I'm impatient.
It takes a lot of investment.
Yeah, you got to really, Skyrim, I really wanted to play that game, but you have to travel and you have to do all, I can't. I want to, but I can't.
Spoken like a true sports fan.
Yeah, you
need the impact.
I need it right now.
You need it right now.
I need it right now. So, I want to. I love the games. I think they're really cool. I'll watch somebody play them on YouTube.
But of the company Bethesda, the company that makes them.
Yeah.
Have you heard what's been going on with their latest game?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so they came out with a game called Fallout 76, which is supposed to be this open world. And for those of you who don't know what Fallout is, it's basically a post-apocalyptic role-playing game. And 76 was supposed to be this type where you get dropped into the map with maybe 16 other players and just basically do what you normally do. And they hyped it up to infinity.
Yeah, I remember the hype behind it.
And then when it came out, it was a disaster. The graphics were a downgrade from the previous generation, which is bad now.
Yeah, that's horrible.
There were 0 NPCs, non-player characters. Basically, there was nothing to interact with other than enemies, and even the enemies were buggy to all get out. There were a lot of glitches, and it was just one scandal after another. They had this special edition that had these duffel bags that were supposed to be made of canvas, and then they came in nylon, and then they were like, "Oh, sorry, we ran out of material."
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's just one thing after the other, and then if you keep track of the story, it's maybe every other week or every week there's something
It's like an excuse.
new happening with the
Yeah.
game. Recently the player base has basically died off, and they came out with a $100 subscription version.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's like new games coming out now, like The Outer Worlds, which is basically Fallout but in space. I mean, for those who've played the game, I think you get what I'm trying to say. But I just want to like bring that to people's attention because this game is great. It's fun. There's many ways to tackle the game. I mean, some people like to just shoot. You can sneak. You can talk to people. It's just that kind of stuff. And just, it's weird. I love gaming myself, and we talk about like EA and Bethesda
Right.
and Blizzard like 2 or 1 episode ago, depending on how you put these out. It's frustrating for me at least.
Yeah. 'cause
personally.
You get all this hype from the company, and then it's supposed to be this great game, and then
Not even hype. It's just like promises that are just not kept.
oh yeah.
That's the thing that bothers me most. It's like I'm being told I'm going to get A, B, and C, and I don't even get half of that.
Right.
Or not even. I don't even get half of A.
It's funny that you bring that up because I don't know the stint of it, but 2K did the same thing with this new game that came out. They made all these promises, and 2K got exposed for it. Like Ronnie 2K, the spokesperson or whatever of 2K, was caught. Like they do like streams and stuff, and people ask him questions and this and that, whatever. And he got caught telling like bold-faced lies on stream. I don't remember exactly what everything was, but it's like.
You've bought the new 2K, haven't you?
Yeah, I have it. I got it whenever first release. I got early access and all that. So it's like I'm obviously part of the 2K community, and I see all the stuff that people complain about. You know what I mean? Like, but for me personally, I just play the game and kind of deal with whatever it is that is the problem because I'm just kind of used to it at that point, which is sad to say.
Yeah.
Because a game comes out, and the game was actually so broken when it first came out.
I remember that.
Every single year 2K comes out. It takes them about 2.5, 3 months to fix the game, quote unquote, fix the game to where it's playable.
Yeah.
And then during the year there'll be like small updates, and then this and that. The game is so different compared to
Yeah, you have to wait like a full year before
Yeah.
buying the game,
Yeah.
which is frustrating because like why can't I have
the full product.
the full product right off the bat? It's,
Right.
it's like this with a lot of games, especially from EA, especially from 2K nowadays.
Yep.
And it's a weird practice because people buy it.
Yeah. They know as soon as they release
You're
it,
part of the
people will buy it. I am part of the problem because I usually get the Legend Edition, which is usually $100, or you'll get the Gold Edition, whatever, 70, 80, 90, 100, how much ever it is. So I mean, I'm part of the problem, no doubt, because they do. I don't know why I do it, but it's just habit.
Well, you say you bought the Legendary Edition. I was about to ask you, how do you feel about when there is like 3 or 4 different editions, each one with increasing prices?
That is kind of crazy to me, actually, now I think about it, because you get the base game, and most of the time, the years previous, the Legend Edition guarantees you early access.
Yeah.
But this year they didn't do early access. So basically all you're doing is just buying extra stuff, virtual, for the game when you get it. So it's like, there's really no point, because a lot of times it's just like extra VC, which is virtual currency to make your player better and buy stuff like that. So it doesn't really make sense if you think about it.
How much do you think a game should be? Tops. Regular game, no add-ons, nothing.
I feel like 60 is a lot, but at the same time, I guess it's not.
Okay, let me put it this way. Making games very difficult, very expensive to make. So $60, to me at least, is fine. I'm fine with paying $60, getting 10 plus hours out of it.
Yeah.
If it's a good time, I don't complain. Where do you justify? No, let me rephrase that. What does it take to justify a price increase? Like, what should be added on to?
Well, okay, with sports games, I don't feel like they should be $60 every year.
I agree.
Because
you're maybe adding a few players.
That's all you're doing.
Changing stats.
Yeah,
maybe adding another.
All you're doing is kind of tweak. That's what 2K does. They tweak something slightly every year.
Just to tell you it's a different game.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know if I've shared this with you. I probably have. I've shared it with a lot of people. What I think sports games should do: re-release the game with an update, just a big update. Whatever changes you want to make, charge like $20.
Or just have DLC.
Yeah, or like
We updated the game. We changed some stats. We
Yeah.
added like new players.
Right.
We did the transfers or whatever you call them in. What are they called? They're not transfers in drafts. We
Yeah.
did the drafts.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Yeah.
$20.
because I know it's not that hard to.
It's not.
It's not that hard because basically what I feel like they're doing is copy and pasting.
Because happens in FIFA to where the stats are changing every week depending on how the games go for
Yeah,
each team. I'm
right.
sure 2K does that.
Yeah, they
with
do
their
like live updates.
live
and
updates to
players
so it's
and how
not
they're
hard to
doing it.
change these things.
Because you're basically doing that the next year, but all you're doing is changing a little gameplay and adding something new that was a little bit different than last year. So I just don't think it should be $60 every year because it's the same game, just a little bit different. So I think $60 for a sports game is a little too much.
Okay, so an example for you here is I bought Borderlands and I bought their Super Deluxe Edition, which I believe was $100. But what I get out of it is I get a steel book,
Yeah.
which is nice. I get all the bonus DLC, so
Right.
that's less money I have to spend in the future.
Yeah, right.
So that I think is like somewhat justifiable. I wish I got more out of it, but I like the game a lot, so
Yeah.
I don't mind throwing money at it.
I think games like that are different though because that's not something that can be the same the next year. With sports, it's the same thing every year.
Yeah.
Games like the story mode, like a Skyrim or something.
Yeah.
A game that's going to last you a long time, or like a Grand Theft Auto 5. You're going to play that game for a couple years
Yeah.
until the next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
But like, what should be added on? Like, what kind of stuff do you think should be? Because some like games give you like statues and memorabilia and that sort of stuff. Do you think that's all necessary?
yeah. I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Like, are you meaning like the GTAs and the?
Yeah, I'm just saying like what's the most you would pay for a game and what needs to be in it is my question.
Oh yeah, like you just said with stuff that they give you if you order the game $100, they give you this and they give you a little collections item or they give you this extra DLC. I mean that's fine. Like that's fine.
So $100 to you would be
I'd pay $100 for a couple games before, so that doesn't really bother me because some games if you buy it $100 you get like season passes and you get the DLC for free later on in the year. You know what I mean? Instead of when it comes out and you don't have it, you pay $30.
Do you think collector's editions are ridiculous when it's like $300 and you get like this?
I would never.
Statue or like a bunch of memorabilia.
For me, I'm not a big fan of any game that would cause me to pay $300.
I think like the pricing, of course, is for all the stuff you get with it, but does it justify it to you?
Not me.
Not you.
No, I can't. I can't do it. Like that's just. There's other things that I would pay $300.
Hypothetically speaking, if like you bought 2K and it came with like a signed whatever fucking LeBron jersey, $300.
If I knew for sure that it was like rare and it wasn't just some kind of Ponzi scheme, everybody else in the world has it.
Yeah,
that's a little different.
That's
because it's not rare. You know what I mean? Like give me something that I know for sure that makes it work.
I think collector's editions are usually limited.
Yeah. Well, I mean. It's cool, whatever. If you want to do it, go for it. But for me, I'm just not that big of a fan of a game enough to get something. Like I have a friend who used to play Gears all the time.
Oh yeah.
And he, I don't know if it came with the game or not, but the main gun.
Yeah, I think that's a collector's edition.
Yeah, like he has like
the whole.
It's like the big chainsaw gun, which that's pretty dope. But I don't know if he got it from pre-ordering the game or not. So
no, I think you have to like pay extra for that.
Yeah, so he probably did that, but that's cool. I think that's pretty dope, but for me, I'm just not that big of a fan. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me.
How do you usually buy your games?
Digitally.
Digital? Like you buy them off Amazon? Have you ever bought them
off Xbox.
Oh, Xbox. So you don't even go through, like, you don't buy a physical copy?
I haven't bought a physical copy since GTA 5.
Okay, so let me try to get context from you. How many games do you buy a year?
To be honest, anymore, it's always usually just, I'd say about two or three. Most of the time it's 2K. And
Okay,
then,
so you're the wrong person to ask this question.
yeah, probably.
Because I buy like shit. I don't buy too many a year, depending on what's releasing. I'll buy like maybe 3 or 4, 5, depending on what's out. What have I bought this year? I bought Borderlands. I don't even remember what's come out this year. Bought a bunch. I bought VR games. VR games I have digital, but like I don't know. It's been a while. Anyways, my point is like if you were to buy games, you always go digital. You don't go to like GameStop or anything.
Because I just feel like the disc is cool. If it's gonna benefit me or like I can have it to look back on. You know what I mean? But
I just like to have a physical thing to look at. That's personal.
I just like the like I can if I want to play a game.
You just want to click it.
I just want to be able to click the game, and it's probably a lazy
No, I mean it's
side
convenience.
Of me,
I mean that's why when people buy
that's the word I was
Prime,
looking for.
and that's why people have Netflix. It's for the convenience.
Because if I'm playing a game and I want to play something else, all I got to do is just go my games, click on another game.
Yeah,
it's just that easy.
Yeah.
I mean the disc is cool. Like I have a PlayStation 2 as well, so
yeah.
The disc is
back
still,
in the day. I was
like that's really cool, but it's all digital for me now.
So when you did buy games physical, where'd you buy it from?
GameStop,
Walmart. Yeah,
typically GameStop though.
Have you heard what's been going on with GameStop?
I know they're probably not going to last very long.
But just to give people context on like the full GameStop story,
is it about like when people return their games and stuff?
It's not even that. So basically, GameStop has turned into how do I talk about this? GameStop is basically hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
It's stopped being about selling games and more about buying it's not their subscription service, whatever their like rewards program.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they're hitting home with. So a lot of people have been turned off by GameStop. And let's be honest, Amazon is killing them.
Big time.
And buying games off your PlayStation or Xbox is killing them.
Yeah.
So right now, from what I understand, they're cutting their stores by I think half.
Makes sense.
And they're trying to pivot towards like gaming stores, like comic book stores where you can play board games. That's what I've heard. Which I find interesting because I don't feel like you go into a GameStop to
play games.
To play games.
Yeah.
You go into a GameStop to grab something and go.
Right.
And if you go into a GameStop, have you been to one recently?
It's been a while.
So when you go into one now, it's all like this Hot Topic. Not like shirts, but how Hot Topic has a bunch of
they got like collector's
nerdy collector's items.
Yeah.
That's what GameStop's turning into.
Yeah. Like those little pop things.
Figures or or plushie or like keychain
T-shirts. Yeah.
That's what it's turned into.
I mean, they got to do something because if you go in there and return an Xbox One, you only get $50 out of it.
And that's I think another big problem is because when you return a game, I don't think you even get $50 off of it. Oh, you mean the Xbox itself? You're right. Yeah, you don't get any money off of it.
It'd be a brand new terabyte Xbox,
and then they'll just give you like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And they sell it back for 300%.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's another thing that bothers people.
That kills me. That's why I stopped going to them and that's why I stopped buying discs because if I have 2K15, it's just taking up space.
I don't think I've ever returned a game though.
I used to do it a lot. Whenever they were somewhat relevant and giving you, it was obviously a lot of times store credit.
Yeah.
That's like the only option. They'll be like, all right, you got 5 games that came out this year. We can give you $12 cash or $200 store credit. I'm like,
$200.
Well, what do you think I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to take the store credit, but it's just like, I think they deserve it. I think it's probably. I mean, it kind of sucks because, the digital world is taking over and they can't really be relevant anymore, but that's what they get, I mean.
Not adapting?
Yeah, like, you can't have an Xbox One that just came out last week, a terabyte Xbox, and give you $50 for it.
Are you speaking from experience or are you just from what you've heard?
Yeah, experience. Most def. I had to, whenever I try to get Xbox One, I had to go to a pawn shop.
Yeah.
And sell my Xbox 360 for them to give me, I think they gave me like $150.
Yeah, that sounds like a right.
Yeah, that's good. The Xbox One had been out for like 2 years, so I'm still getting $150 for all these games a remote and the system itself.
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to do that. Instead
You'd
of
rather
going
go to a pawn shop than
yeah,
go to
like
GameStop.
Fuck GameStop. that's what I gotta say. Fuck GameStop. Stupid ass company. That's what they get. Karma.
Well, we are at 40 minutes, so we need to kill about another 15, 20. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to talk about the whole NCAA thing with, you probably don't really keep up with this, but like the high school basketball and stuff like that. Like, it's so crazy to me to think, high school athletes are insane nowadays. Like, I don't know what happened from when I was in high school to when you were in high school.
I'm telling you, like I said
now,
before, the competition's like, the bar's been raised.
It is so crazy to think, like, a 13-year-old is out here doing, like, a behind-the-back windmill dunk in-game.
Yeah.
With ease.
Yeah.
For me, when I was in high school, I could barely slap the back of the backboard.
Yeah. These kids are getting bigger. Too.
It is so crazy to me to think that it's exciting in a way, but it's like the hype that they get sometimes is kind of crazy because they're in high school. Like, you know who Zion Williamson is, right?
No.
He was a high school phenomenon like that, and he's like the next LeBron.
Well, you say
whatever.
Zion?
Yeah, Zion.
Oh, I've
Williamson.
heard the name. I don't know who you're talking, but I've heard the name.
Yeah, like when he was in high school, he was like insane. He was like a grown man going against like
boys,
little white kids. It was non-athletic white kids. So it's crazy. It's just, I don't know. Like the hype is.
Do you think part of the hype is because these high school games are getting like TV time now, and there's all this sports coverage?
That's what I was going to get to because, I mean, like social media blows them up. Like my Instagram and Twitter is just full of sports highlights, and a lot of times it's like high school kids, and it's cool in a way because the exposure wasn't there when we were in school.
Yeah.
Because like if you're good enough, like that's, you had to like be scouted, and you had to. Put
word
in,
of mouth.
Yeah, and you had to like put in tape and stuff for coaches to come find you. But now it's like you can just find it on the internet, which is cool in its own way. But for me, I hate when players are like they have a huge head and their confidence is through the roof for no reason. You know what I mean? Like you're in high school, you're good.
Yeah,
do it in college.
You think you're the next big thing?
Yeah, like do it in college.
Is it their fault or is it just they're kids in the end? Right?
It's not their fault.
Yeah, it's
not
because
their
of
fault.
all these people that's like talking them big, and you're going to be the next thing.
Yeah, and then when they go to college, say, and they don't do what they did in high school, but they're still good, and then they go to the NBA and they don't show out immediately. It's like the pressure that social media puts on a lot of kids in sports mainly. It's just like it's crazy because they're just trying to play, and obviously they're good in their own way.
I don't think they realize how different, like the NCAA game, the college game is to professional.
Yeah,
it's a whole different ballgame.
It's completely different because in college,
everyone's good in it.
Yeah, it's like in college, the age gap is what 18, 19 to like 20, 22,
24, tops.
Something like that.
Well,
like,
no, 18 to
unless you stay all
22,
4 years,
yes.
which is rare nowadays. It's usually 18, about 22, 21.
20, I think.
Yeah, because a lot of people leave after 1 year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
Especially here in Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear that Kentucky is the number one ranked?
Yeah. They deserve it. Their team is nice. I watched the game.
They're always number one ranked, but they haven't won since 2012.
Hey, I'm not a Kentucky fan, so
you don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I support them because I live here, but I don't give into the hype until they win again. Yeah. And then, I talk to a lot of fans and they're like, well, we made it to the Final Four and we made it to the Elite Eight. Yeah, that's something to build on, but if you're doing that every year and you're expected to win the championship every year.
Okay. Explain this to me. As somebody that has moved to the States 9 years ago, why do people care about making it to the quote-unquote Elite Four, whatever the fuck it's called? It's basically, I made it to the semifinals, I made it to the quarterfinals. Why do we put banners for that? That's like a participation trophy.
I mean, it is to a point, but it's like, if you have a really great year, and then you make it through
if you're a small team,
no doubt,
and you make it to those positions, I feel like okay, that's something worth meriting.
Right.
But when you're Kentucky and you're not making it to the final every year, who the fuck cares?
I'm right there with you because I know a lot of Kentucky fans. I'm like,
this is like NCAA basketball is the only sport. I don't know how it is in football where you go like, we made it to the Elite Eight. That means you made it to the semis.
Yeah.
It's not impressive.
You're right.
Especially if you're like a top team.
Hey, I'm right there with you because until you win a championship, it doesn't matter.
Has it always been like this, or is that like?
It's really blown up. I feel like the last few years, mainly with just Kentucky because I see it all the time. But it's like you get all this hype, but you don't make it to the finals. So it's like, does it really matter?
Yeah.
And then you know you're going to have a completely different team next year because everybody always leaves. So like, why are you hyped for that?
But Kentucky's not the only. It's not.
Kentucky's
the
the biggest team.
It
now.
is.
Like that's the thing that I see the most because they're always relevant. They've always got people getting drafted in the NBA. For me, I feel like a lot of the players shouldn't go because, I mean, if you got the opportunity, sure, go.
Yeah,
$10
they
million.
should, but in the end, they're going to get that call.
Oh yeah, no doubt, because it's the history and they
And
know.
and sadly, not all of them do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, other than Anthony Davis, who's a star in the NBA.
Well,
now.
recently I will say it might take him a couple years, but like Karl Anthony Towns is coming to his own. He's a
You
really
think
good
so?
player.
What
De'Aaron
about Willie
Fox,
Cauley-Stein?
he's relevant now.
relevant.
He's
Nerlens Noel.
he's
had
on a
injuries.
roster. He starts and he plays. So yeah, De'Aaron Fox is a stud.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray is a stud.
Are the Harrison twins doing anything?
They're in the league.
So they play.
Yeah, they play. Actually, one of them plays overseas.
Really?
Andrew plays in the league, I think. Aaron is somewhere overseas, I believe. So it's like there's potential always when you go to Kentucky, but for me, this is just me. This is just personal. Of course, I don't know context of being able to go into the draft and make millions of dollars. So that mindset's a little different in the moment. But for me, I want to win so bad. So it's like if we make it to the Final Four and we have a chance to go to the championship next year, I'm probably going to stay because I want to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But obviously, like I said, in context, if you have the chance to go to the NBA and be a high draft pick and make how much ever money they make off jump.
It's just like the whole banner thing is just so weird to me where you see
Oh, yeah,
that,
they hang it like Final
they
Four
hang
and
it like,
stuff.
you're like, oh, it's a big achievement getting to like the
Yeah.
semis and the quarterfinals.
I think it's a big thing in and out of itself
I think
because
it's impressive because you're going up against like what, almost 200 teams.
yeah, because the tournament starts out as 64.
Yeah,
So you go through the bracket and you make it to the Final Four,
Yeah.
which it is impressive.
but you start out playing smaller teams.
Typically,
Yeah,
yeah, and then early on, usually like round of 32, you'll get
and you see
a
the
couple
same.
big
You
teams,
usually see the same teams around.
Typically,
the
yeah.
top 8.
and then you
And
always
there's
get an
always
upset
one team,
Yeah,
exactly one upset team.
yeah.
And
So
I feel like they're the only team that can like
brag.
brag about
Yeah,
that. Where the
that's
other
true.
teams are like, or at least their fans are sitting here like, oh, well, we made Final Four, you all made Final 8. I'm like, in the end, none of you won.
That's Kentucky in a nutshell. I swear. Like, that is Kentucky fans in a nutshell. I'm like, that's nice, but don't you want to win? Like, and you know you're not going to have the same team next year, so you don't know the possibility of next year.
All right, how do you feel about the Kentucky fandom then? Because in my opinion, it's just a bunch of kids. All right, that's not true. It's a bunch of old people.
Well, I was about to say it's a mixture. Like, if you go to a Kentucky basketball game, lower section is just a bunch of rich white people.
Yeah,
And then up above that in the student section, of course, is kids.
that's student section. That's kids who just want to go to a game to fucking get rowdy.
Well, other than that bottom section is rich white people.
Yeah, and I feel like those are the people that
They
cheer,
actually, yeah, I mean,
cheer for Kentucky and Drake, of course.
yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to judge because I'm not a Kentucky fan. Like, I don't go to the games and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know what the atmosphere is. Like,
I've been to a few rep games. It's fun. It's a fun experience. But
other than that bottom section,
I feel like student fans that aren't from Kentucky, I feel like it's hard to justify the fandom.
it is because
I was lucky to where I got accepted to UK the year they won the championship. So I just believed in the hype.
yeah,
And then there's 2 years in a row where they didn't even make. I think they made the final.
yeah. One year they were terrible,
One year they were terrible, and
Yeah.
then another year they were mad.
and then the one year they went 38-1 because they
Yes,
lost to a
they
Wisconsin
lost-
team,
yeah, they lost to
and
a
that's
Wisconsin
that's kind of frustrating, just for me as a sports fan because Kentucky should have won that game.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that game. Wisconsin had the game of their life.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of white people who could shoot threes.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
they
it
did
was.
miss.
Yeah, so it's like games like that, you know, is that really what should happen? Because in college, it's all about momentum.
Yeah.
It's all about energy. It's all about tempo. Because like if you come out the gate strong and you keep that momentum all game, it's hard to beat. That's why you see a lot of upsets.
Yeah.
Because teams come out hot and they're like, all right, we can beat this team. So I think the fan base of Kentucky is all about hype every year.
It is.
That's what it is every year. They're like, oh, we're winning the championship this
We've
year.
got this kid. We've got this kid.
Yeah,
we've
and
got
it's
this
like
kid. We can't lose.
it's not going to matter until you win a championship.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think people are going to
I'm
hold
surprised
over.
that Calipari still has a job.
I was actually about to say that's one thing that they're going to hold over Calipari's head. He has a championship, yes, and he has a lot of recruits, and
He has a lot, his biggest claim is I have a lot of round one draft picks.
yeah, and he's got a lot of college wins in the regular season
Yes.
and in the postseason, and he makes
But in
it.
the end, he don't got that big gold trophy.
You have one ring,
Yeah.
so it's like, what have you really
Do you
accomplished?
see Calipari going on to the NBA?
I don't think so. I think because he had a huge,
You think
he had a
he'll
huge
retire
contract.
here?
I think he'll be smart because he got a huge contract a couple years ago. So I don't see him leaving, but you never know. I mean, once somebody gets to the end of their coaching spree and a team, something can happen. But he'd be dumb to move on because the community and the legend that he's built here. Why would he leave? There's no reason.
All right. We've got about 10 minutes we could kill. Football, NCAA football season's over, isn't it?
It's getting there. There's like a handful of games left.
Handful of games.
And then
Okay,
the
well,
playoffs.
let's finish off with this. Who you see winning NCAA football, basketball, NFL, NBA this year?
Well, college basketball, I can't say anything because I don't really keep up with it. So, there's no telling with basketball. I don't know who's good this year. It's hard for me to keep up. NCAA football, obviously I'm going to be biased. Ohio State will be in there. LSU looks really good this year. So I'm just going to say Ohio State because I'm biased. And they look really good. Like they're the best team in the nation. If not them, it'll be LSU.
What about the pros? Who do you think wins? Because the NFL season's up and running.
Man, to be honest with you,
I don't see the Patriots winning, man.
they're so good, bro. Like they got beat on Sunday, but their defense is so good. So I'd say Patriots, the Seahawks.
You think the Hawks will make it?
The Hawks are really good this year, man.
They're all right.
They're really good this
But
year.
they won, they've lost 2 games.
Yeah, they're really good this year.
They've squeaked out the rest of their games, though. They've won
Yeah.
by 1 point the rest of their games.
It's hard.
I will say this: Russell Wilson is a fucking beast.
He's amazing.
He's
That's
such a-
why they're
And
always
I
in the running.
wish he had a better offensive line.
He makes things happen, man. He is so good. And I know you probably don't watch it all the time, but
Not all the time, but I keep up with
man,
him.
he is so good.
He is fantastic. I love him.
So I'd say Patriots, Baltimore's got a chance. The 49ers got a chance because they're undefeated. Actually, Seattle and San Fran play tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit, I might catch that.
NFL, so I'd probably say one of those teams. Other than
The
that,
NBA season's starting.
NBA is wide open.
You
Wide
think so?
open. Yeah, it's wide open.
You don't think it's going to be the Lakers?
It's possible that the Lakers, the Clippers.
Davis and LeBron?
Yeah.
That's a disgusting combination.
Yeah. The Clippers look really good. The Bucks. The Sixers. One of those teams. As long as nothing happens throughout the year.
All right.
And then, yeah, that's it, right? Because I don't know about college basketball.
Yeah.
I know Kentucky will be in the conversation.
They're always in the
They're always in
conversation.
the conversation. It's hard to not put them in
It's
there.
always the same teams in the conversation, except for
Typically. It's always like Gonzaga and Duke and North Carolina and used to be Virginia, Kentucky, my poor Ohio State. They haven't been relevant in so long.
I don't think they do basketball anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we try, but I can't say anything.
That's kind of how Kentucky football is. We try.
They try. They definitely try, but they're not a football team. It's just
Okay.
football school.
Well, I have you here. Explain to me bowl games.
For football?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean-
you play a season and then you get tossed in a final randomly.
Well, it's like it's only for obviously the teams that qualify.
Yeah.
So, used
What
to
do
be
you do to qualify?
you just have to win like a certain amount of games and you have to play well in your conference. So it's like you represent your conference, and then some teams just get it because a lot of them I feel like are participation, but
Kentucky gets into the Orange Bowl, I think.
I mean, they always get into a small bowl like that. So it's like if you make it to a bowl, that's kind of a success.
Okay.
If you're not doing very well and you get into a bowl and you win it, that's a good.
That's one thing about like college sports that doesn't make sense to me. It's just it's like okay, they play a bunch of games and then they get into a bowl or they celebrate getting into a position in the tournament,
Yeah.
which is completely different than how professional is.
Yeah, it's like one winner and that's
One
it.
winner.
Yeah. But college football, there's so many teams.
Yeah,
There's so many schools, so it's like
I kind of get that.
you
when it
kind of,
comes
you
to
know,
football, yeah.
if you win in college football, if you win 7 games in a year, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Obviously, if you go undefeated and you lose only one, how it used to be is there would be like the top 6 bowls. It'd be like the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Championship Bowl, the Cotton Bowl,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So those are like the big bowls as you want to
Yeah.
get into, the Rose Bowl. But now it's the championship game, so it's typically the Rose Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl, which is like the
the
number 1 through 4.
okay.
It's like those bowls, and then the championship game, whichever one it is.
Whoever wins between
Yeah.
those 4 teams.
So it used
okay, that
to
makes sense.
it used to be obviously the championship game, and then the bowls that followed that.
Okay.
But now it's like if you get into a bowl and you've won 7, 8 games, you can hang your hat on that
Okay.
because
Is
you
there
can't.
anything else you would like to add to this conversation before we sign off?
Well, backtracking to the beginning of it, life took a complete 180 this year. You know, it's probably a blessing in disguise, but down the road I'll look
We'll
back on
figure
it.
everything. Everything will work itself out.
Yeah, but I'm gonna try to be back on my grind and
Back on that shit.
yeah, try to get back on the grind and daily uploads that I was doing. So
All right.
should be back.
Well, let's sign off. To those still listening, thank you so much. Like, comment, do whatever you like to do. Give us some, give us some form of something.
Yeah,
Show us you're listening.
yeah.
Again, don't smoke. It's terrible for you. We do, so you don't have to.
Don't try
Thank
this
you
at
so
home.
much, and we love you all. Bye.